So to start off here, grabbing partitions from the other copy of this hab on the other side of the ship, getting those in place. I'm going to do as I usually do, set up and make verticals in the center between the door window portals so that I've got flat spots. I like working with this cargo hab, this empty cargo hab, because it doesn't have any of the shelving in there like this does. But I use that one to grab some parts easily. Then I run into the lodge and do a kind of a flyby on it, grabbing assets that I like that I want to use or I think I want to use. And then go over to Paristo, or however you pronounce that. I know I want to put a bathroom in there, and this has got a bathroom that's fairly simple, this bathroom. And so I go in and I snap on all of the components that I want so I can copy them and drag them over to work with. So that's how it would fit. So I set them to the side outside of the hab because these assets are not all attached. And working with them, they can fall apart and you can wind up with stray pieces. And it's just easier to gather that stuff up if you can see it and it's outside the ship and it's not floating around stray in the ship, hidden in the wall or something. Um, it's best also to go ahead and whenever you're working with them, snap a copy of it, set the whole lot over to the side, and then grab a copy of what it is you want. So you still got the original to work from in case you screw up. And grab a copy and turn the copy into a pack in so that it doesn't fall apart and you can get a fit and then change that how you want to once you've got a fit. I'm going to go in and I'm going to expand the base, what I turned into a bathroom before, but it's currently in the living quarters or the birthing quarters, whatever they call it. Um, it's got bunk beds in there, and it works fine with the space for the bunk beds. But I want to open that up and get a little more space because I know that I need more space for that bathroom and some of the bathroom components because I want to put the vanity in there. I want to put the shower in there. I want to put the toilet in there, some wall stuff, give it a little bit of space. And so I built it out before like this where I added one of those quarter panels in to space it and offset it off a little further away from the wall and make a little room in there. Ultimately, though, as I start working with it, moving it around and such, the final result is a little odd looking of a structure and not necessarily very good utilization of space. So I square it off and make it a square, and it becomes the kind of more of a focal point of that hab because it's kind of pronounced a pronounced room inside, invasive space and inside of the available space of that hab. So it's almost as though that hab then becomes focused on that bathroom being there, which was not really the intent. It was just the result. And a lot of this is just, messing around with stuff and kind of flowing with it and tunneling on something. And then you wind up with something and you say, okay, well, where I'm going to flow with that. And keeping in mind the totality of the ship and everything else that I've got in the ship and so forth. I just kind of build what feels right at the time, regardless of not really setting out with end goal other than to make a new hab that looks nice and is comfortable. And the end result of this first build of this hab um, didn't look right because of its shape and door placement and the rest of the hab. But it's real easy to put these pieces together because they all use a coordinate system. And so if you just use the coordinate system, it'll snap together clean, real clean. The thing is your height is going to be a minus 125. And in some instances, like a rug or something, that if you put it right at the floor height, it's going to blend into the floor and not work right. So you've got to set it for something like 124. But for all of your parts, the floor is going to be at 125, and or that's a minus 125. And then all of the walls, they're going to be an even number. They're going to be something like one or two or four or six or 10, something like that. So when you look at them and you look at the coordinate system and you start snapping all of that stuff, it's going to be a whole number. But now when you start working with these panelings, you resize them so that they'll fit. And then you've got to be able to get it where the edges don't overlap because they'll cause this little ghost flicker later on when you're looking at it. You'll see this kind of little flicker thing that'll be a little bit disturbing that the walls got some flicker there. And it's because those panels are overlapping and the graphic is having trouble displaying it. And those particular things, to get them straight, you've got to use fractional numbers and uh, and time. So for instance, like an example will be this panel. I had a screw up with this panel in the lower right hand corner where before I'd actually set it to be a locked in place, all in totality, all these pieces being together. I had bumped that and moved that lower right hand corner a little bit without realizing it, but it shows up here because it's slightly off and you can see part of that wall coming through it. I'll put a garbage can or something to fix that in this particular instance. Eventually, I'll probably go in and I'll break that apart and I'll reset that piece. Um, but here, so I'm using fractions to get all that to fit. Now you can have a little bit of overlap below the floor and above the floor. You see how those roof pieces have got that they stick out. That goes to show you how much room you've actually got. You'll see that again. And all right, so this was the result of putting in those verticals. And I like the result. I like the way this came out, but it does make it where the bathroom, the washroom here, um, is a main feature of this room. So you would think that then the theme of the room needs to be centered around well, you've got this bathroom in here, this washroom. Um, but I didn't really go with that. I'm like, you've got these one by ones that butt right up to this. So if I wanted to put a bed or an office or make this be a suite, I've got those that I can build into it. So what I did with this, because this is a big ship, and I want to have a uniqueness. I don't want redundancy in in a function like every hab's got a bathroom, every hab's got oven, every hab's got a whatever, a workbench. That's the redundancy that I'm talking about. Now then, every hab having maybe some of the same paintings or a fountain or plants or something like that. Um, that's not a redundancy that disturbs me. What I'm looking at is I'm looking at flow of comfort level of bringing wanting to be in that room and hang out. And that's the idea is that every hab built into the ship is one that gives you a certain affinity and draw for being in that hab and having a purpose of being on the ship, not a control room purpose, not a engineering room purpose. That's not the mindset I go with. Engineering, this is a spaceship that's autonomous in so many ways you don't need an engineer. It runs itself. I'm a solo pilot, I'm a solo player, I'm the individual, I'm the introvert, and the ship runs itself. I fly it and I hang out in it. It's my homestead. All right, so that's the what we built out, and now I'm coming back to see what we've got. That kind of annoys me, the incursion thing. Always, every time I log in, every few minutes, something run on my screen. Run over there and go do the same thing you just did 100 times. Okay, so this is the built-out version. I covered the that one flaw with a plant and a laundry basket. Not like either one of those is going to be used, but it's a visual thing. The toilet is a little of a tight spot there. I kind of get hung on it moving in and out, but it's not like I really go in there. I could reposition stuff a little bit, but I'm probably just going to leave that alone right now. That doesn't really bother me. It's more that it's there than I mean you can't sit on it or anything like that. So, but this is what I wound up with those pieces that I snagged. I just build out my corners, but there's empty spots here because you've got these all these snap points where there can be a window or a door, or if for some reason I decide to put a ladder in or anything like that. You want to leave all those places open. And so those are areas that you build out. Plus, you've still got your outposting tools, which gives me some flexibility of adding a bench or a couch or other things. I just do a basic. So I've got my waterfall here, and I've got a little snack bar thing there. Um, Everything seems to work where I can pass through and go around it. But I like the ambiance of this waterfall and the vines and this little my candles and stuff. This makes it a peaceful place to come and hang out if I want to. Um, and I'll probably still go in and maybe do something with some of these walls, but as far as putting a veneer over it, I'm still learning the reskinning the walls. I've learned while I was doing this how to change the wall coloration. That I grabbed a part from the creation kit to make those panels, the double wall panels. And this particular panel here has also got a color effect to get it that shiny. So I went ahead and downloaded from the materials folder, unzipped all those skins that comes in the material folder so that I could recolor these walls or maintain these skins like that particular skin. I don't have them all yet, and I don't completely know what I'm doing with that yet, but that is a step that I went forward. I like putting that trellis. That's actually not a trellis. I forget what that actually is. That's some other function. Um, but making it where I can get that visual effect of those vines in here and make this more of a conservatory. I like that. So this is what I've got now for this. I want to figure out the floors though, because I know that I can reskin those floors and make them look like marble, and that might be complicated and something I'll do. I got my little altar there to all of the NPCs that ran across me and got the wrong end of the sword or the right end of the sword. They had it coming. See, this could actually turn into be a bedroom with a double bed in it, and then the rest of this have makes sense because this is a the suite, the suite and its decor, the sitting areas, and I'm not necessarily into hot tub, but it's would be like having a hot tub in your suite, but what you've got is you got this fountain and sitting area or whatever. And of course, you've got your little chocolate on the end table, your cheese and bread. I'm having trouble finding some of the assets in the creation kit. Some of that stuff got renamed. Might go in um, with the creation kit. What I've got to do is I was trying to make a standalone mod, but you've got to have 006 for your empty hab, so that gets added in as a dependency. And then you have to have 007 for your empty habs for shroud, so then that gets dragged in. And then you have to have 050 um, because that comes with Armada and adds the Armada stuff, and those are base game things. But then it gets dragged in because all that stuff has to be connected. If I'm using empty habs, I need the empty hab dependency. Got Armada, so I need the Armada dependency. And I saw a whole lot of assets that I think were really nice when I was playing Shattered Space, and I've got that. And so I might actually also hook in the Shattered Space dependency so I can start grabbing wall parts and assets. They had some wind chimes and stuff. They had, cool assets. I like their assets. They got beautiful assets. All right, so always will put a chair down. Usually I'll point it towards the floor of the cabin, but this is just was in there so that I could snap in, and it had something that I could rotate around, steer around in the creation kit. When I go to work on this, I'll turn that around and face it forward so that I can keep track of what's front and bottom and back. It's easy enough though with this one because you've got the kitchenette and you've got the bunk room in there. But um, with this being on this side of the ship, and the way that these two one by ones work, you get that connecting room that way. But you could move either one of those two by twos. You could change sides with them to get that effect, or you could move the one by ones on either side to get that effect. So when you go to build, you can decide where you want that double one by one with the flow through. So, for instance, it would be a good idea with the bathroom because instead of having to walk all the way around the bathroom to the one by one, you might want to be able to circle it. Or you might want to make that a master bedroom and put a bed in there, and you don't want it to be connected. You want it to be isolated. So it just depends on, but that's just a function that you can keep in mind in arranging these things. But so I'm going in and I'm populating this because I go in and out and test things to make sure that everything works or have an idea of how things are working or if they're going to work. This particular hab in that position, the door opens and covers that spot, but I made sure that when I place that stuff, because I know that the fore side of that hab, which way the door opens, so I always will place the stuff so that with that in mind. And you can move those habs if you don't like the way that opens. So you just reposition it to put a different one by one there that the door works out all right for. But that's all right. So let's go up top, and I did a little bit of work before I went in here to work on that particular one, and did some more tinkering with this. I added that the two rifles. I actually also figured out how to do a loot reward weapon box so that I can give myself a built um, weapon in a container like you would for a quest reward and put it in here so that the first time you go and you open it, it's there. And I figured out how to make it where it's skinned. I've got the inflictors doing that. And I figured out what to do with those damn figurines. General Paxton's having fun with the Terramorph. Yeah, I like the way this is flowing. That's got a inflictor, fully set up inflictor. The smaller one there has got the inflictor pistol in it. That one. I've got a sword and the one under the desk. And then that one under that table has got a hard target, which only fits in the case completely when the lid's shut. But the way those work is it's an instanced item that is set. Uh, it's locked in place because it's a reward item, and so it's set up um, like an instant, so it'll be there the first time you open it, but the next time you open it, it starts getting weird. The mechanics change on it. So you open it, you loot it, and you have it, and then it's a case that you can store stuff in. Um, or you unsnap and resnap the hab, and the hab then flushes and restarts, and it redoes it. That's the way it seemed to be acting so far. It was just something I was trying to figure out that I took the time to screw around with and see it's in there, but you can't see it, and that's just a side effect of the way the mechanic works. Um, you can see it the first time you open it. I've already opened it and looked at them, and it's just something the way that the game is set up to work that I'm tricking it, and it's trying to work with me on that, but that's what we got. It's there the first time. And we got War and Peace on the table. Yeah, so we got sitting areas, places that I like the way this has turned out. I might put every time I look at that one sidewall, I think I'll put something there, and then I think, well, but that leaves flexibility for uh, changing that up as you go along with the outpost tool, putting what you want there. But sometimes the outpost tool doesn't really give you the option that you want, and I just haven't gone in and put anything. As I go through and I start finding more assets, then I'll have more things to put out there. But right now, I've found a limited number of the resources that I like to build with, I like to decorate with. They move my cheese in the creation kit and rename stuff and they're always improving stuff. I don't mean to be complaining. I mean, I like that the tool, I'm putting a lot of time in with it. I'm glad that I've got it. It actually makes the game fun for me because I've got this flexibility. And so now I'm going to take a look at this tab. The kitchen there, the stove thing and all works, but that's that whole setup. If you move that whole setup with the shelves, you lose that function. And if I put the normal food workbench in there, it consumes a lot of space. So I don't really like the shelves so much. I don't like that look. I think their shelves they lack the aesthetics that I prefer, but it flows with the Taiyo theme because this is uh, it's the look that goes with the manufacturer. Um, but I think I might go in and put the conventional outpost food workbench in there. um, I lose that sink, but it's the whole look there that I want to change. I want to make that more pristine. So if I make that more pristine, that means that this whole kitchenette, wall and all, it's going to be too much confined space in there. So then that means, do I want to move this wall out or what? And I could reconstruct that, but then I've also got um, I've got the bunk beds in here, and if I move that kitchen wall out, the area gets really confined. Now, I had considered building this together, melding this bunk bed structure together with the kitchenette structure, and then rotating that sliding door around 90 degrees so that it goes in there. I'd considered doing that where there was like a master bedroom there and a bed. But you've got those two doors that are snapped. Now, if there's a window over to the right instead of a doorway, that works out. Or if you don't put anything there, you snap something against that snap point and it becomes a wall on both parts, that works out fine for it being a bed in there. But in order to maintain the flexibility in thinking it through, um, um, I could just make that be a partition that partitions that section off, and then that one by one is just an addition. You put a bed back in that one by one if you're making this like a master bedroom or primary bedroom, as they call it these days. Um, and So you could put something back there. It could be an office or whatever. But then the bunk beds don't necessarily make sense. But that's where previously I had in my parlor version in my other mod made that be the bathroom and actually just sized it up a little bit, but it still basically maintained the shape. Um, I haven't exactly decided what I'm going to do. I'm just going to dive in and flow with it, but I'm not going to make this one a bathroom. I'm going to leave those bunk beds in there and I'm going to leave the kitchen being a kitchen, but I'm going to doll up this bunk bed area and make it more pristine, more of like a pleasure cruise ship look rather than a uh, quarter for the scrubbies. Um, and the kitchenette I want to make be a um, more foo-foo kitchen. Foo-foo, that's the technical description. Anyway, let's see what happens next.